No, it's not often you can say this about any anime that you're watching, whether it's a high action, intense show, something with just a lot of plot twists and turns. But it's one thing if any character makes a dragon say, hold up, I don't want to deal with this, and either turns tails and runs, or maybe tries to lash out to get a quick one-hit KO because it knows, if I don't, this thing's gonna kill me. It's a whole other thing when this said person who causes a dragon to lash out like that is a little girl. Now granted, for us, mentally, she's actually her 18, 20-year-old self, whatever it is, but it doesn't change the fact she's in like a 10 to 12-year-old body. And the reaction from the general public of, oh, hold up now, a dragon lashed out to intimidate and try to hurt a child. Why is it so fearful? That's, okay, the first time, maybe you're just built different, but it's the second time. The second time is what does it for me. The second one says, huh, nah, I'm good, boss. I value my life, and literally flies away. And we get introduced to Hades' brother, who is just like, wait a gosh darn moment. This ain't right. This show is quite literally impossible to predict the formula and where it's going to go at this point. And on one hand, it does cause it to feel like we're jumping between anime seasons, and it's kind of a little jarring. But on the flip side, it creates such an entertaining formula that I'm just kind of here for. Now, of course, I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and good thought to any of this do-over Damsel greatness over there exclusively. So, a lot happens. And like I said, it does kind of feel jumbled in a way at this point. And I really feel like, okay, on one hand, yes, we know, like, we probably finished up a book or whatever, and now we're on to the next one. But it does feel like we just kind of went from everything we saw with the attempt, attack on the capital to then just Uncle deciding to do his thing, and now we're living Farmville Simulator in the woods here as our girl's being recruited into an army who's also in relation to his sister and apparently his brother as well. And in a way, it does almost feel like we're missing some pieces to get to these points, but it's not like we're missing pieces that makes us not understand it. It's just more of like a few extra fill in the blanks to just kind of make it feel a little more cohesive. But at the same time, with that complaint said, I still am very much enjoying it, and I love how I said it last week, it's one of the hardest shows to predict. Like, no one expects that you would come off of the previous arc only for 2 seconds later for the uncle to throw us out and say, nah, this ain't yours anymore. And it's kind of a wild plot point. It's even more wild when we got this whole dragon plot line going too. So we know our girl Jill can't see Rav now, right? Because of everything going on. And it's so interesting because there's obviously other dragons in this world, and we actually get a nice little lesson about what they all represent, the colors and everything like that. And the sister, right, basically her dragon, the best of the best, the biggest beast around. And I'm figuring, and I'm probably not alone, that one of two things is going to happen. Either an immediate show of respect because, oh shit, like she a dragon tamer or something like that, right? Or it's going to react in a way that people are, I guess in a way, I figured it was going to react similar to how the second dragon reacted, where it just ran away because of, oh shit, she's intimidating. Instead, it lashes out, and immediately my mind goes to, oh, it's going to be one of two things. Either A, it smells Rav on her, which causes maybe a little competition between dragons, or it's going to be something related to the loop, because we know this is a time loop, right? So maybe some sort of like black magic from a dragon's point of view. And I thought that's what was going to be implied. But instead, they just simply, it makes it look like it's lashing out like, you're pathetic. And throughout most of the episode, you're under the impression that the dragon just hated her. And it's just like, it didn't consider her worthy, which was a very big surprise because it didn't go quite the predictable route. It's not until later that we realize that at face value, people are misunderstanding what it meant because in actuality, it considered you a threat. A little girl was considered a threat by a big, powerful dragon. Obviously, people are going to want to, investigate that because what's so special about you, but obviously props to you because a dragon doesn't just react to that to anyone, right? And it's really interesting when you see the opposite reaction, but still in the same ballpark of another dragon flying away because it's like, nah. Even funnier when you realize that dragon has only had that reaction to one other person, that person being the husband. And it's like, okay, this is just fantastic. And it's a silly episode in a lot of ways, especially when you realize that Jill ends up pretty much luring the brother home. She's like, hey, one, I wanted some recovery, some love time, and two, here's your brother. He seems like a good ally. And honestly, he does seem like a good ally, but it's so ridiculous. We're in the middle of a situation where a crowned prince is being overthrown, and all he wants to do is play Stardew Valley. And I can't say I blame him. His whole life has been nothing but hell, and for probably the first time in his entire life, he's just relaxing. No political pressure. He's literally growing strawberries. Anyone with a brain probably wants to do the same thing. Let's be 100%. But what I liked is there's a moment around the midway point-ish where the sister, the brother, and Jill are all in one room. And the brother, despite having some harsh words to say about Hades, is like, he's the prince, like, he's the emperor, like, that is the dragon emperor. No matter what, Unks is saying, we know who we should follow. The sister agreeing wholeheartedly, but saying she's not going to do anything. She's like, I'm not going to go against him, and I'm not going to support him, I'm going to stay neutral. But I do agree, he is the crowned emperor for a reason. So bringing the brother in first is obviously the right play, because he's very much like, he's an idiot, I hate him, but he's the king, basically. I totally get where they're going with it. I think it's going to be a fun dynamic, because immediately you just get the impression, I see why the family fell apart, I see why it went into burning hell in the original timeline, but seeing them as we're seeing them now, it doesn't feel like, oh, they're a completely different person. No, it's just situations. Those situations, ever so slightly turned one way, could cause his family to stab each other in the back left and right. But if you just keep them on the straight and narrow, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a chaotic family, but they don't have to hate each other. It's a lot of misunderstandings and hands being forced in certain ways. And it's so interesting because of Jill quite literally dragging a brother to reunite with a brother. We're probably also avoiding some bad things happening, and them working together will then probably bring him the sister, and them all working together as siblings could probably stop this coup once and for all. So yeah, pretty damn good episode. Very hard to predict. It does feel like we're kind of missing some pieces along the way, but it's not like it makes it impossible to follow, just more of like little developments and plot points along the way. Might have served it better, but I'm having a fun time, even if the sus scenes still remain a little sus, if you know what I mean. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this week's episode down below. How shocked were you when that second dragon turned tail and ran? Because I was not expecting that at all. Thoughts down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Gomison, Count Viscount, Ciaris, Ryuki, Jade, Vasuva Granada, Gabby G, Attack Owl, and we also have Ender Wolf, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.